everyone. I'm Emily Crow, editor in chief at Progressive Grocer. In the lead up to our annual GroceryTech event, which is happening May 12th to 14th in Charlotte, I'm speaking with Mark Probst, Chief Business Development Officer at Fusion. This year's theme at GroceryTech revolves around customer first commerce for the next era of grocery. So, Mark is here to take a deep dive into the connected store experience. Mark, thank you for joining me.
Oh, you bet, Emily. Glad to be here.
Great. So, to start, can you give us a quick definition of what a truly connected store looks like today?
You bet. So I think if you think about there's a physical layer, that physical layer that's truly connected will have IoT devices that are in communication with a second layer of cloud that is making the connectivity to business intelligence. And so a connected store, if you think about the orchestration of work, it all relies upon data, and bidirectional communication of data is really important. So that's a connected store, and we can go deeper on it as the questions continue, I'm sure.
Wonderful. So, let's take a closer look at electronic shelf labels and how those kind of connect with the connected store. Beyond just changing prices, how does the technology help grocers automate execution and also reallocate labor hours?
Oh, that's such a great question. So today there is a really structural misallocation of labor in a lot of places where people in stores, operators, employees are going around trying to understand what needs to be done, what needs to be corrected, what needs to be stocked, what needs to be moved. And so all of those sort of moves right now exist in a world where there is sort of almost a black box of lack of data. So if you can, inform someone how to and where to go perform a task and also verify that that task was done on behalf of a customer, you are deliberately, instead of using that labor that would have been used to go find something that might need to be done, and maybe the thing that needed to be done was it the most important thing. And instead of that, you can orchestrate that work into this task is the most important, has the highest ROI, and here is what can be done in some places where it can be automated, such as pricing. You're beginning to really reuse your labor and actually redefine your labor standards and the workload driven standards that stores operate on.
So, diving even deeper, how do those ESLs offer shelf level visibility that replaces the need for manual product counting?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question. I'll answer it with a little bit of a departure. Standard electronic shelf labels are a bit of a legacy product. We sell a differentiated product in that we have a rail that has display tags on it, and that rail has intelligence built into the rail. And so being able to utilize signal taxonomy of Bluetooth or BLE, we're able to not only conserve power so that we can operate 24/7 for picking, stocking, all the different work that's done in the store, but we're also able to allow for orchestration of these tasks in a meaningful way. And so, with a standard electronic shelf label, you don't have the ability to add on the modularity of adding a camera on to get planogram compliance, or in a standard setting in a typical electronic shelf label, if it's removed from the actual shelf that it's sitting on, you're not aware that that happened. With our solution, because the tag is a merely a display that's attached to the rail, it lowers the cost of the solution, and it allows us to know the data that a tag's been removed. So you can begin to have capabilities on a product capability map that look like planogram compliance. If the tag's been removed. And because our solution is bidirectional in communication, we can send a task back to an associate that says, hey, there was a tag removed in aisle one, section three, and the fourth position on the shelf. And they can go fix it really quickly. And it really behaviorally changes how people work. What our stores see, and obviously we're in a lot of different formats and banners globally. You've got a situation that exists now where that work can just be orchestrated and the behavior changes where people aren't pulling tags anymore, which is an age old retail problem.
That's amazing. So, in what ways is the connected store ecosystem that we've talked about elevating the shopper experience?
A multitude of ways. So in what I would call a Fusion connected store, you're beginning to use the power of Bluetooth with the power of proximity detection. And I would just say this is detecting a consumer cell phone that's opted into a loyalty application and allowed that to happen with permission settings of location services. And then at that point, you're beginning to give hyper personalized experiences. And so those personalized experiences become, I detected, Emily, that you were close to a display of a certain item. I might be able to give you a coupon for the item that you might want to purchase. I might be able to give you a special offer because of your status as a loyalty member. Or I might be able to give you a retail media information that shows maybe something that you might be interested in based upon other things that you purchased before. And so those begin to give a true experience that looks like an omni-channel experience. That's much like when you're browsing, and so it blends how people think about physical versus digital retail.
Great. So you talked about this just a little bit, but finally I want to ask how ESLs and other connected store technology are helping grocers monetize their stores in new ways.
Yeah, that's another great question. So data monetization is something that's really important. If you think about the at the heart of it, there's been really a lack of data inside stores, and when you do have data, the data often is not high fidelity. So it's not data that you have assurance of or that sort of thing. Because our products at Fusion are by nature geospatially located as we install them, and because they use Bluetooth or BLE, they beacon, and so we know the location of the problem that might need to be fixed on the shelf, the opportunity of the out of stock. We can see the out of stock or misplaced item with a camera as well that's modular and plugs into the rail for power. And so you wind up getting into this really important loop where you can use the data of understanding products that are on the shelf, off the shelf, the dwell time that a consumer is spending in a certain area, or an associate. And it could be a third party associate. It could be a person that's coming in to do some work on behalf of the store. You can understand who's there visiting your shelf, the amount of time that they're there. And so you can use that in so many different ways. I mean, a lot of people's imagination goes towards really creative ways, but there's aspects of it that get into everything from, loss prevention to how do we understand, and give data monetization instead of having somebody go check a shelf to see if you're really out of something. We can just send really high fidelity data that says you're definitively out of something, and the data quality is higher.
Amazing. Well, Mark, thank you so much for your insights and thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. It's always good to talk to you, Emily. Thank you.